Would you talk about the survey with which you're familiar, about the amount of money it takes to get someone to turn their back?
Well, there have been a number of studies which have concentrated the election security threats from non-technical perspective. Most notable of these studies is the Brennan Center for Justice study made by a Brennan Center, which is a non-profit institution concentrating on constitutional issues and hosted by the University of New York. In one of these studies, law students were sent out on the special election time frame to figure it out if they can bribe their way to get access. In that study, it was found out that the average price of $700 is the price it takes to bribe a poll worker to let a complete stranger take a look into the election machine on a sleepover period. What is most notable was that none of the poll workers reported the incidents where people are coming asking the access to the machine or offering money to their supervisors. And this is basically what is the value, what is the access, how much money you need to get an access to one machine in a certain area. The most troublesome of this whole thing was that this was the complete outsider.
I actually have a question. I mean, I guess I'm going to actually ask a question as a follow-up to the question. Are you implying that all of the clerks in New Hampshire who are sworn to uphold state law and enforce the election laws of the state of New Hampshire are susceptible to a $700 bribe? By asking that question and the answer I have to ask, are you actually making that statement?
No, I'm not making that statement.
Well, you made a very general statement that it just took $700 and they all were willing to let you do it and they didn't even know who you were. Why does that apply to New Hampshire when we don't do sleepovers? We don't allow equipment to leave the site of the clerks. They are responsible. They are sworn to uphold the law. They're locked in my town vault, in your town vault, and any town vault in the state. So how does that question and that answer relate to the New Hampshire process?
It relates to a very simple thing. If my opinion is asked, I would say that with this equipment, chain of custody is a very problematic area because the access time required to be alone with the machine to successfully hack it, swap the card, or reprogram it is very small. We are talking about maximum 5 minutes to do it if someone is really doing it with a criminal intention. So the whole problem is relating to how vulnerable this is.
The manufacturer of the machines are the ones who are reprogramming the cards. No?
In New England, it's all Justice Associates. It's not the
Okay, well, whatever. I'm sorry. Well, okay, but a commercial entity is reprogramming the cards, not the state of New Hampshire. And I'm not so much concerned about the hacking of the cards, although I'm concerned about that, but I'm also concerned about what program is actually being put on the cards, because who is to say that an employee who is reprogramming that card is not susceptible to being bribed? Okay, we're not talking about poll workers here, we're talking about average Joe Blow who may just want a little extra cash. So if we cannot compare the good code to the code that's been put on those cards, we do not know what we get when those machines arrive back to us.
If I may take a moment to address it. We work in an open environment in our company. There are no closed offices. Everything is done in a central location. We actually have 2 rooms that are dedicated to coding and 1 room that's dedicated to testing. And then we have a 3rd room, which is a quality control area. People who do the coding are not allowed to do the testing, and they have no idea what the testing is going to produce. And the quality control person is not allowed to be either the coder or the tester. So there are 3 people in our company who oversee this process. Number 1. Number 2 is probably a detriment, I guess. I don't know. We don't hire anybody with a computer degree. That's one of the things we don't do. And it's, if you saw the coding of the machines and the cards, you would understand that it's a parameter-driven, Mr. Hursti can attest to this, it's a parameter-driven system. It asks you to put the date of the election in, then it asks you what kind of election, and so forth and so on, the races and then the candidates, and it's basically filling in the blanks, the number of vote fors, and there is no access to any source code. It's all compiled code in our office. We have no source code. At the bottom of at the end of the result is that you have to align the ballot circles with the programming, and then you produce a memory card that goes through our internal test procedures to make sure it's proper and working correctly. And it goes through a quality control process. Once that is achieved, it is then sent out under signature using United Parcel Service. It's signed for at the clerk's office. They then take it and do a logic and accuracy test. Mark ballots that are prescribed by the Secretary of State's office, sometimes supplied by the Secretary of State's office, that they are the only ones of the Attorney General's office who know the predetermined result. So they're the only ones doing it. So then those ballots are then fed through in test mode. The machine is then put into election mode by a series of questions. And I don't know, again, I'm not of the level of computer expertise that Mr. Hursti is, but I do know that when I say yes, 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 no, no, that all the counters in the machine are set to 0.
Leaving the Miami war zone, find myself driving towards Lauderdale Ocean waves. The night air is sweet, remembering the taste of vinegar seep through as we face the blockade. Miles from the tear gas, police state now fading fast as exits pass on this highway. The struggle now a memory, yet I still hear the millions assembling. Night and day, night and day. In my smile the sadness runs deep, in my laughter tears they swell beneath. I feel the cry of the earth on the wind in my hand, surrounded by beauty, filled with the sorrow of man. The sorrow of man. So we arrive at the night's final resting ground, and I'm overcome by the ancient holy sound of the ocean night. Taking shoes off tired feet, and sand I spin around and see nature's dark and city's lights. And I wonder if the waves all chose, could they rise up to the streets and swallow the story whole? Will the Miami sun set long after the war for peace is won? Yeah, I will never know. I will never know. In my smile, sadness runs deep, and in my laughter, tears they swell beneath. I feel the cry of the earth on the wind in my hand, surrounded by beauty, filled with sorrow. Man, man.